Welcome, dear soul. Tonight we will embark on a gentle journey not to a destination but into presence. We will explore the timeless wisdom of the Buddha, teachings that have served as a refuge for restless minds for over 2,500 years. These are not rules to follow or doctrines to memorize. They are invitations to see differently, to soften your grip, and to uncover the deep well of peace that has been within you all along. We will walk this path through ancient stories and simple, profound truths that speak not to the busy mind, but to the quiet, knowing heart. We will learn to see our thoughts not as masters, but as passing clouds, and our difficult emotions not as enemies, but as messengers inviting us toward healing. Welcome to the silent path. This is your sanctuary, a space to rest your mind and nourish your spirit. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to fix, and no one you need to become. Simply allow these words to wash over you. If this path of quiet reflection calls to something deep within you, I invite you to subscribe and return to this space whenever you need to remember the peace that is your birthright for now. Just breathe. Let us begin this journey together. Our journey into deep peace begins with a gentle, honest look at the nature of our own minds. It starts with one of the most foundational teachings of the Buddha. A truth that once understood unlocks the door to liberation. This is the teaching on what is often called suffering, but a better word might be friction. It is the subtle, pervasive sense of unsatisfactoriness, the feeling that things are never quite right. It is the stress we feel when we resist the natural flow of life. When we cling to what is pleasant and push away what is painful. This friction is not a punishment or a flaw in our character. It is a fundamental part of the human experience when the mind is untrained. By turning toward this friction with a soft and curious gaze, we take the first real step toward a peace that cannot be shaken. There is an old story of a young woman named Mara who lived in a village at the foot of a great mountain. Mara was a weaver, and her skill was unmatched. She wove tapestries of incredible beauty, their colors as vibrant as the sunrise, and their patterns as intricate as a spider's web. People came from all over the kingdom to purchase her work, and she was celebrated for her artistry. Mara's identity, her sense of self-worth was woven into every thread. She believed, I am a great weaver. This is who I am. For a time, this brought her great happiness. But with her success came a quiet fear. Each new tapestry had to be more beautiful than the last. She would lie awake at night, her mind racing with designs, worrying that her inspiration would one day vanish. The joy of creation slowly became tainted with the anxiety of expectation. One day, a royal messenger arrived with a commission from the king himself. He wanted a tapestry that captured the essence of the entire kingdom. Its forests, its rivers, its people, its spirit. It was the greatest honor of her life, and it terrified her. She built a new, larger loom and bought the most expensive threads of silk and gold. For weeks she tried to begin, but her hands would tremble. The immensity of the task paralyzed her. The fear of not being perfect, of not living up to her own reputation, was a cage she could not escape. Her loom stood empty, a monument to her fear. Her once joyful workshop became a place of dread. She grew withdrawn and unhappy. The friction in her mind a constant torment. One evening, unable to bear the silence of her workshop any longer, She walked up the mountain path as the sun began to set. She came to a small hermitage where an old nun lived, a woman known for her quiet wisdom. Mara, her voice choked with despair, explained her predicament. The old nun listened patiently, her eyes as calm as a deep forest pool. When Mara had finished, the nun did not offer advice or solutions. She simply said, "Come, let us watch the sunset." They sat together on a rock overlooking the valley. The sky was a canvas of brilliant oranges, deep purples, and soft pinks. It was breathtakingly beautiful, a masterpiece of light and color that was changing with every passing second. "No one expects the sunset to hold still," the nun said softly. "Its beauty is in its vanishing. It does not worry about whether tonight's sunset is as beautiful as last night's. It simply is." She then looked at Mara with profound kindness. "You are not the weaver," she said. "You are the loom. Life is the weaver. Joy, fear, inspiration, and emptiness are all just threads of different colors. You have been trying to control the threads, to weave only with the threads of gold. But a tapestry with only one color has no depth. Your problem is not that you are afraid. The problem is that you believe you should not be." Mara felt the truth of these words settle deep within her bones. The tension in her shoulders began to release. She was not her success. She was not her fear. She was the space through which these things moved. She walked back down the mountain under a sky full of stars. The next morning, she went to her workshop. She took a deep breath and began to weave. She did not try to weave the perfect tapestry. She simply wove what was in her heart that day, the color of her fear, the texture of her anxiety, but also the deep purple of the sunset and the silver of the starlight. The tapestry she created was unlike any she had made before. It was not perfect, but it was honest. It was alive. And in the act of weaving her whole self, not just the good parts, she found her freedom. Mara's story is our story. The friction, the dukkha, is not the royal commission or the fear of failure. It is the clinging to an identity, the resistance to the full spectrum of our human experience. The Buddha's first noble truth points directly to this. Life inevitably contains experiences that are unpleasant. Sickness, loss, disappointment, these are part of the landscape. The second noble truth tells us that our suffering arises not from these experiences themselves, but from our craving, our thirst for reality to be different. Mara was suffering because she was craving to be only the perfect weaver. She was resisting the threads of fear and doubt. This craving is a natural instinct of the untrained mind. We are conditioned to chase pleasure and avoid pain. We build our identities around our successes and strengths and try to hide our vulnerabilities. But this is like trying to build a dam in the middle of a flowing river. The pressure just builds. The Buddha's teaching is a radical invitation to stop building the dam. It is an invitation to see that our craving, our resistance, is the true source of the pressure we feel. When we chase happiness as a permanent state, we are destined for disappointment because everything is impermanent. When we run from sadness, we give it more power over us. The wisdom lies in turning toward our experience with a gentle and courageous curiosity. It's about widening our embrace to include all the threads, light and dark. This understanding is profoundly empowering. It means that the key to our peace is not in changing the world outside, but in transforming the view from within. We can't stop the river of life from flowing, but we can learn to navigate it with grace and wisdom, finding our balance not by resisting the current, but by moving with it to bring this wisdom into your own life. You don't need to be a weaver or a monk. You can start right where you are in the midst of your daily experience. The first practice is to simply become an observer of the friction in your own mind. When you feel that familiar tightening of anxiety, that flash of irritation, or that pang of disappointment, try not to immediately get lost in the story. Instead, pause, take one conscious breath, and just for a moment step back and observe the feeling as if you were a scientist watching a strange weather pattern. Name it gently to yourself. This is frustration, or this is the feeling of wanting things to be different. This simple act of naming and observing creates a space of awareness. In that space, you are no longer the emotion. You are the one who is aware of the emotion. This is the beginning of freedom. The next step is to get curious about the craving underneath. What is the mind thirsting for in this moment? If you're frustrated in a traffic jam, the craving is for the traffic to disappear, for reality to bend to your schedule. If you're hurt by a friend's comment, the craving is for their words to have been different, for the past to be rewritten. See if you can identify this underlying desire without judging it. See it with the same gentle curiosity you would have for a child who wants it to be sunny on a rainy day. This understanding softens the heart. You don't have to fight the craving. You just have to see it for what it is, a natural but ultimately unskillful strategy of the mind. Finally, practice softening your body. Our mental resistance manifests as physical tension. When you notice that friction, scan your body. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders hunched? Is your stomach in a knot? Consciously invite these parts of your body to soften. You can't think your way out of resistance, but you can breathe your way through it. As you exhale, imagine the tension gently dissolving. This is not about forcing relaxation. It is a gentle allowing, a physical expression of letting go. By practicing in these small moments, you are retraining your mind. You are teaching it that it is safe to feel the full spectrum of life, that you don't need to resist reality to be at peace. You are learning to be the loom, allowing all the threads of life to be woven into the beautiful, imperfect, and ever-changing tapestry of your being. Let us pause here for a moment. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath, a quiet anchor in the flow of time. Allow your body to soften, releasing any tension you might be holding. Let the edges of your day melt into this quiet space of rest. If this journey into stillness resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to The Silent Path so we can continue to walk this path together, discovering the peace that is always waiting for our return. We continue our journey by exploring a truth that is both profoundly simple and radically transformative. It is the teaching of impermanence, or Anna. The universe is in a constant state of flux. Nothing is static. Not the mountains, not the stars, not our bodies, and not our thoughts. Everything that arises will eventually pass away. We often experience this truth as a source of anxiety. We fear loss, we grieve change, and we desperately try to hold on to moments of happiness as if they were solid objects. But the Buddha taught that our suffering comes not from the fact of change, but from our resistance to it. The teaching of impermanence is not a lament. It is a gateway to freedom when we learn to stop fighting the flow of life and instead embrace its dynamic, ever-changing nature. We discover a joy that is deeper and more resilient than any fleeting pleasure. In a valley nestled between two great mountains, there lived a master potter. Her name was Isara, and her work was renowned throughout the land for its exquisite beauty and its near-perfect forms. Her bowls were so finely crafted that they seemed to hum with a life of their own. People would travel for days to acquire one of her pieces, believing that its perfection would bring a sense of order and peace to their homes. A young apprentice named Kyle came to study with her. Kyle was talented but impatient. He was obsessed with creating a perfect pot, one with no flaws, no imperfections, a masterpiece that would last forever. He would work for hours on a single vessel, his brow furrowed in concentration. But every time, just as he thought he had achieved perfection, he would find a tiny flaw, a slight asymmetry, a minuscule bubble in the glaze, a faint tremor from his own hand. In frustration, he would smash the pot and begin again, his workshop floor littered with the shards of his own high expectations. One afternoon, after a particularly frustrating day, Kel watched as Isara sat at her wheel. She worked with a joyful ease, her hands moving with the clay as if in a dance. She crafted a beautiful, elegant vase, but as she was lifting it from the wheel, her hand slipped and a deep, jagged crack appeared down one side. Kyle gasped, expecting her to be devastated. But Isara simply smiled. She took a small brush, and instead of discarding the vase, she began to paint a delicate golden lacquer along the line of the crack, transforming the floor into a shimmering vein of gold. She then placed the vase in a special part of her studio alongside dozens of other pieces, each with its own golden repair. This was the art of kintsugi, the art of embracing breakage and imperfection. You are trying to create a pot that denies its own nature, Isara said to Kale, her voice full of warmth. Clay is of the earth. It is fragile. It is meant to change, to crack, to one day return to dust. To fight this is to fight the clay itself. A pot's life is a journey of transformation. Its cracks tell the story of its journey, of the heat of the kiln, of the hands that held it, perhaps of a fall. They are not signs of failure. They are marks of a life lived. She gestured to the vase with the golden seam. This crack has not made the vase less beautiful. It has made it unique. It has told its story. True beauty, Kale, is not the absence of flaws. It is the loving embrace of them. Kale looked at his own pile of broken shards, the remnants of his quest for an impossible perfection. He had been trying to create something that stood outside of life, outside of time. Isara was showing him how to find beauty in the heart of life's fragility. He picked up two of his broken pieces, and for the first time, instead of seeing failure, he saw an opportunity. He began the slow, patient process of mending, not to hide the break, but to honor it. The story of Isara and the cracked pot is a profound metaphor for the teaching of immanence. We are all like Kyle, striving for a kind of perfection and permanence that life does not offer. We want our bodies to stay young and healthy, our relationships to remain in a state of perpetual harmony, and our moments of happiness to last forever. We treat life's cracks, our illnesses, our heartbreaks, our failures, as tragedies to be hidden or overcome. But the wisdom of Anika teaches us that these cracks are not mistakes. They are an inevitable and essential part of our journey. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence is a call to see life as it truly is, a continuous dynamic flow. Everything we can perceive with our senses, from our own thoughts and emotions to the stars in the sky, is in a state of constant transformation. Trying to hold on to any of it is like trying to grasp a handful of water. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Our suffering is the tension in that squeeze. When we are caught in a difficult emotion like sadness or anger, it can feel all-consuming, as if it is a permanent part of our identity. We say, "I am sad," as if sadness is a solid thing that has replaced our true self. But impermanence reminds us that this is an illusion. Sadness is a weather pattern passing through the vast open sky of our awareness. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. When we can remember this, we can meet our pain with less fear. We can allow it to be there, knowing that it, like everything else, will change. This understanding also revolutionizes our relationship with joy. Instead of clinging to happy moments with a desperate fear of them ending, we can learn to savor them fully with a heart of gratitude. We can appreciate the warmth of the sun on our skin without worrying about the inevitable arrival of clouds. This is the essence of non-attachment, not a cold attachment, but a loving, wholehearted participation in the dance of life without trying to control the music. This teaching frees us from the tyranny of the past and the anxiety of the future. The past is a collection of moments that have already dissolved. The future is a collection of moments that have not yet arisen. All we ever truly have is this present moment. And this present moment is always fresh, always new, always changing. Peace is found in learning to rest in the dynamic stillness of the now. How can we integrate this profound understanding of impermanence into the fabric of our lives? The practice is not about intellectual understanding, but about direct felt experience. It begins with the gentle art of paying attention. A simple yet powerful practice is to choose one natural phenomenon and observe it regularly. It could be a tree outside your window, the moon in the night sky, or even a house plant on your desk. Make a point to look at it each day. Notice the subtle changes: a new leaf unlaying, a flower blooming and then wilting, the way the light hits it differently at different times of day. This practice done consistently retrains the mind to see change not as an event, but as the constant underlying reality of existence. Another practice is to become a curious observer of your own inner world. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day and simply watch the flow of your thoughts and feelings. Don't try to stop them or change them. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of a river, watching leaves and twigs float by. Some thoughts might be dark and heavy, others light and fleeting. Just watch them arise, linger for a moment, and then dissolve. Notice that you are not the thoughts. You are the awareness that is watching them. This practice cultivates a spaciousness within you, a quiet center that is untouched by the constant churn of the mind. You can also practice a letting go meditation. At the end of your day, find a comfortable position and mentally review the events of the day. As you bring each event to mind, a pleasant conversation, a moment of frustration, A task completed. Consciously practice letting it go. You can visualize placing it on a leaf and watching it float away down a river. Or you can simply say to yourself, "This moment is over. I release it." This is not about erasing your memories, but about loosening your grip on them, and is a way of acknowledging that the past is complete, freeing you to meet the present moment with openness and presence. Finally, bring this awareness into your interactions with others. When you are with a loved one, be fully present. Recognize that this moment is unique and will never come again. This recognition infuses your relationships with a preciousness and a tenderness that are often lost when we take things for granted. When you understand that everything and everyone is impermanent, you naturally begin to love more fully, to forgive more easily, and to appreciate the profound gift of sharing this fleeting journey with others. You learn to honor the cracks in yourself and in those you love as the beautiful golden seams that tell the story of a life fully lived. Let's pause here again just for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs completely, and then release it with a gentle sigh. Feel your body sinking a little deeper into the surface that supports it. Let go of the day. Let go of the need to be anywhere else. You are here in this quiet space, and that is enough. We now turn our attention inward to one of the most subtle and liberating teachings of the Buddha. It is the doctrine of anatta, or not-self. This teaching can sound strange or even frightening at first, as it seems to challenge the very foundation of who we believe we are. We live our lives with a strong sense of I or me at the center of our experience. An inner commander who is thinking our thoughts, feeling our emotions, and making our decisions. But the Buddha invited us to look for the solid, separate self, and to see if we can actually find it. The teaching of not-self is not a denial of your existence. It is an invitation to discover a far more spacious, interconnected, and joyful way of being free from the heavy burden of a fixed identity. In a monastery known for its silent gardens, there lived a monk named Jin, who was plagued by a relentless inner critic. His mind was a constant stream of self-judgment. My meditation is not deep enough. I am not as compassionate as the other monks. I will never be enlightened. This sense of a flawed, inadequate self was a heavy cloak he wore day and night. He believed that this I was a solid, real entity that was failing at its spiritual task. One day, the abbot of the monastery, a wise old master, called Jin to his chambers. He didn't speak, but instead handed Jin a beautiful, ornate chariot, a small-scale model that was a masterpiece of craftsmanship. "Tell me, Jin," the abbot said. "What is this?" "It is a chariot, master," Jin replied. "Are you sure?" the abbot asked, his eyes twinkling. He then began to dismantle the model. He removed one of the wheels. "Is this wheel the chariot?" "No, master," Jin said. The abbot removed the other wheel, the axle, the frame, the decorative canopy. With each piece, he asked the same question, and each time Jin's answer was the same: "No, master." Soon all the individual parts of the chariot lay disassembled on the floor. "Now where is the chariot?" the abbot asked. "The chariot," Jin said slowly, a look of dawning realization on his face, "is not a single thing. It is a temporary collection of parts working together. It is a name we give to a process." The abbot smiled a deep, knowing smile. "And so it is with the self you are so worried about," he said. You look for this I that is failing, this Jin who is not good enough. But where is he? Is he your body? Your body is constantly changing, made of parts that are not you. Is he your thoughts? Your thoughts are like clouds appearing and disappearing. Are they you? Is he your feelings? Your feelings are like the weather, always shifting. Are they you? He gestured to the disassembled parts on the floor. What you call self is just like this chariot. It is a collection of changing processes: body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. We give this collection a name, a story, and then we mistake that name for a solid, unchanging thing. But there is no permanent I sitting in the driver's seat. There is just a process of life unfolding. Jin sat in stunned silence. The heavy cloak of his self-judgment began to feel lighter. If there was no fixed failing self, then who was it that was failing? The inner critic's voice suddenly seemed less powerful, like the empty pronouncements of a king with no kingdom. He wasn't a failure, he was a process. And a process cannot fail. It can only unfold. But listen to Jin strikes at the very core of the teaching of anatta. We spend so much of our energy constructing, polishing, and defending our sense of self. We build it from our memories, our accomplishments, our roles, our relationships, and our beliefs. We then live inside this self-constructed identity as if it were a fortress. But this fortress is also a prison. It limits us. It makes us rigid. It makes us fragile, because any challenge to our identity feels like a threat to our very existence. The teaching of not self is the key that unlocks the prison door. It reveals that what we take to be a solid, unchanging self is, upon closer inspection, an illusion. It is a beautiful, complex, ever-changing process. But it is not a static thing. The Buddha identified 5 aspects of this process known as the 5 aggregates or skandhas. These form our physical body. Sensations are sensory experiences, perceptions, our mind's interpretation of those sensations, mental formations, our thoughts, emotions and habits, and consciousness, the basic awareness of the other 4. He invited us to examine each of these aggregates and ask, is this permanent? Is this truly me? Can I control this completely? The answer to all 3 questions is no. Our bodies age and change. Our feelings are unpredictable. Our thoughts are a chaotic stream. There is no single stable entity to be found. This realization is not a cause for nihilism or despair. It is profoundly liberating. If you are not a fixed identity, then you are not stuck. You are not defined by your past mistakes. You are not trapped in your current anxieties. You are a flowing river, not a stagnant pond. The anxious person you think you are is just a temporary pattern of thoughts and feelings. The person who failed is just a memory. These are not your permanent essence. This understanding also revolutionizes our relationships with others. When we stop clinging to a fixed idea of our own self, we naturally stop imposing fixed identities on others. We stop putting people in boxes. He is selfish. She is unreliable. We begin to see that everyone just like us is a complex, changing process shaped by countless conditions we cannot see. This insight is the fertile ground from which true compassion grows. We see the humanity in others more clearly and our hearts naturally soften. How can we begin to experience this truth of not self directly? This is not a concept to be believed, but a reality to be investigated in the laboratory of our own experience. One of the most direct ways is through a practice called vipassana, or insight meditation. The essence of this practice is to observe the 5 aggregates in action. Find a comfortable place to sit, and for a few minutes, simply bring your awareness to your body. Notice the sensations of breath, the feeling of pressure where you are sitting, any areas of warmth or coolness. Just observe these sensations as changing physical phenomena without labeling them as my body. See them simply as form and sensation arising in awareness. Then turn your attention to your mind. Watch as thoughts appear. Don't engage with their content. Just notice them as mental events. A thought about the future arises. A memory from the past arises. An image appears. Label them gently. Thinking, remembering, planning, notice that they come and go on their own. They are not your thoughts in the sense of being commanded by a central I. They are simply mental formations. Do the same with feelings. When a feeling of peace or restlessness arises, note it. Peace is here. Restlessness is here. See it as a temporary weather pattern, not as my feeling. The goal of this practice is not to find something, but to notice the absence of something, the absence of a solid, independent self controlling the show. Another powerful practice is to question the sense of I. Throughout your day, when the thought I want this, or I am angry, or I need to do that arises, gently pause and ask, who is this I? Look for it. Can you locate it in your body? Can you find it in your thoughts? This gentle, repeated inquiry begins to loosen the unconscious assumption that there is a fixed self at the helm. You begin to see that I is more of a convenient label, a pronoun we use to organize our experience rather than a description of a real entity. Finally, practice seeing the interconnectedness of all things. When you eat a piece of fruit, reflect on all the conditions that brought it to you. The sun, the rain, the earth, the farmer who grew it, the person who transported it. See that the fruit is not a separate thing, but a manifestation of the entire universe. Then apply the same understanding to yourself. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your very language have been shaped by your parents, your culture, your education. Your body is sustained by the food, water, and air of the planet. When you see this deep interdependence, the illusion of a separate, isolated self begins to dissolve. You are not a lonely island. You are a wave in the great ocean of being inseparable from the whole. This realization that the separate self is an illusion naturally leads us to our next exploration. It is the teaching of dependent origination, or particular emupada. This beautiful and profound doctrine illuminates the very fabric of reality, showing us that nothing, absolutely nothing, exists on its own. Everything arises in dependence on other factors. Every object, every person, every thought, every moment is a convergence of countless causes and conditions. Seeing this truth doesn't just change how we think, it doesn't agitate. It dissolves the alienation and loneliness, and gives rise to a deep and unshakable compassion. There is a teaching story told of a solitary monk named Sela, who went to a remote cave in the mountains to deepen his meditation. He wanted to find a peace that was entirely his own, untouched by the messiness and noise of the world. He believed that by isolating himself, he could achieve a pure and independent state of enlightenment. For his daily meal he had a single bowl of rice, which a villager would silently leave at the mouth of his cave each morning. One day, as he prepared to eat, he looked closely at the small white grains in his bowl. His teacher's words echoed in his mind. Look deeply at any one thing, and you will see the whole universe. Kay decided to try. He focused his entire attention on a single grain of rice. At first he saw only a tiny white object, but as his mind stilled, his vision deepened. He saw the farmer who had planted the rice seed. His back bent under the hot sun, his hands calloused from the work. He saw the rich, dark earth that had nourished the seed and the monsoon rains that had watered it. Rains that had traveled as clouds from a distant ocean. He saw the sun, a fiery star millions of miles away, whose light was essential for the rice stalk to grow. He saw the people who would harvest the rice, those who had milled it, and the one who had transported it to the market. He saw the villager who, with an act of quiet generosity, cooked the rice and brought it to his cave. He saw the potter who had crafted his simple clay bowl and the fire that had hardened it. He continued looking and saw that the farmer could not have worked without the food he ate, which was grown by other farmers. The rain could not have formed without the ocean, and the ocean could not exist without the rivers. Everything was connected. His simple bowl of rice contained the sun, the clouds, the earth, and the labor and kindness of countless people. It was a universe in miniature. In that moment, Silas' feeling of isolation shattered. His quest for a separate, independent peace suddenly seemed absurd. He realized that even here in his remote cave, he was not alone. He was deeply, inextricably connected to everything and everyone. His nourishment, his body, his very breath were gifts from the world he had tried to leave behind. He bowed to the bowl of rice, not as a monk eating a meal, but as a man receiving the universe. His heart, once closed in a pursuit of solitary purity, broke open with a profound sense of gratitude and connection to all life. Kala's awakening in the cave is the direct experience of dependent origination. This teaching is often summarized in a simple phrase: when this is, that is. When this is not, that is not. When this arises, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. It means that nothing has a fixed, independent existence. Everything is a temporary manifestation of an infinite web of causes and conditions. Just like Silas' grain of rice, you in this very moment are a convergence of the entire cosmos. The air you are breathing was once the breath of ancient trees. The water in your body was once part of a cloud, a river, an ocean. Your thoughts and language are shaped by generations of ancestors, writers and thinkers you have never met. The illusion of being a separate self is one of the primary sources of our suffering. It leads to feelings of loneliness, competition, and fear. We feel that we are a fragile me against a vast and indifferent world. But dependent origination reveals this boundary to be a fiction of the mind. There is no me separate from the world. You are a manifestation of the world. This understanding is the foundation of true compassion. When you see this interconnectedness, you realize that the well-being of others is inseparable from your own. Their joy is your joy. Their suffering is your suffering. When someone acts out of anger or greed, you no longer see a bad person. Instead, you see a being who is caught in a web of painful causes and conditions. perhaps a history of trauma, of misunderstanding, of fear. Your judgment softens into a wish for them to be free from that suffering. This does not mean you condone harmful actions. It means you act from a place of clarity and compassion rather than from reactivity and hatred. You understand that hurting another is in a very real sense hurting yourself. This teaching also reveals the profound power of our own actions because everything is connected. Every thought, word, and deed sends ripples out into the universe. A small act of kindness may seem insignificant, but its effects can travel through the web in ways we will never know, touching countless lives. A moment of mindful presence can shift the energy not only within you, but in the space around you. We are not just passive products of conditions. We are active co-creators of the world in every moment to bring this deep wisdom of interconnectedness into your heart. You can practice what the monk Sila did, the art of deep looking. This isn't a formal meditation, but a way of engaging with the world with new eyes. Begin with your food. Before you take your next meal, pause for just a moment. Look at the food on your plate and contemplate its journey to you. Think of the earth, the sun, the rain, the hands that planted, harvested, transported, and prepared it. Silently offer a thought of gratitude for all these interconnected elements that are now offering you nourishment. This simple practice done regularly transforms the act of eating from a mechanical habit into a sacred communion with life. Extend this practice to the objects around you. Look at the chair you are sitting on, or the clothes you are wearing. Contemplate the tree that became the wood, the cotton that became the thread. Think of the designers, the factory workers, the truck drivers. See, this simple object is a meeting point for a global network of energy and effort. This practice dissolves the mundane and reveals the miraculous in the ordinary. The most challenging and rewarding practice is to apply this deep looking to people, especially those you find difficult. When you are feeling frustrated or angry with someone, pause. Instead of focusing on their irritating behavior, try to contemplate the unseen conditions that might have shaped them. What might their childhood have been like? What fears or insecurities might be driving their actions? What pressures are they under that you cannot see? This is not about excusing their behavior, but about seeing their humanity more fully. It is an act of compassion that creates a space for you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with anger. Finally, practice noticing the co-arising in your own experience. Notice how a certain thought can trigger a physical sensation. Notice how a lack of sleep affects your mood. Notice how a kind word can change the entire chemistry of your body. See that your inner world is also a web of dependent origination. By observing these connections without judgment, you gain a profound understanding of how to skillfully cultivate the causes and conditions for your own peace and well-being. Let us pause now, taking a moment to feel the truth of this connection. Feel the air entering your lungs, a gift from the vast atmosphere. Feel the ground supporting you, a gift from the ancient earth. You are held. You are part of this magnificent web. If this sense of belonging brings peace to your heart, I invite you to subscribe to the Silent Path. Let us continue to explore these quiet truths together, having seen that we are not separate, but part of a vast interconnected flow. We now arrive at a very practical question. How do we navigate this flow? The Buddha's answer is beautifully elegant. We walk the middle way. This is not a path of compromise or mediocrity. It is a dynamic, intelligent path of balance that avoids the two extremes, that cause so much suffering. The extreme of sensual indulgence and the extreme of harsh self-mortification. It is the path between grasping and aversion, between being too tight and being too loose. The middle way is the art of living with wisdom and grace, finding a sacred center in all aspects of our lives. The story of the middle way is the story of the Buddha's own life. Before his enlightenment, he lived as Prince Siddhartha, surrounded by every imaginable luxury. He had beautiful palaces, fine clothes, delicious food, and was shielded from all sights of suffering. He lived in the extreme of sensual indulgence, chasing happiness through pleasure. Yet despite having everything, he felt a deep spiritual emptiness. He realized that this kind of happiness was fragile, dependent on external conditions, and could never lead to lasting peace. So he left the palace and swung to the opposite extreme. He became a wandering ascetic, practicing severe self-denial. He fasted until his ribs showed, slept on beds of thorns, and held his breath for long periods, believing that by punishing his body, he could liberate his spirit. For 6 years, he pushed his body to the brink of death. But enlightenment did not come. He only became weak, and his mind grew clouded. One day, collapsed by a river and close to death, he heard a musician on a passing boat teaching a student how to tune a sitar. "The string," the musician said, "must not be too tight, or it will snap. And it must not be too loose, or it will not make a sound. The perfect note is found in the middle." In that moment, Siddhartha had a profound insight. His whole spiritual search had been like tuning that sitar. He had tried the loose string of indulgence and the tight string of asceticism. Neither had worked. The path to awakening, he realized, must lie in the middle. At that moment, a village girl named Sugata, seeing his emaciated state, offered him a bowl of rice milk. His ascetic companions were horrified, believing he had given up the spiritual path. But Siddhartha accepted it. The nourishing food restored his strength, calmed his body, and cleared his mind. With this newfound balance, he sat beneath the Bodhi tree, not too tight, not too loose, and resolved not to move until he had found the truth. It was from this place of centered, balanced awareness that he finally achieved enlightenment. The Buddha's experience teaches us that the path to peace is not found in extremes. Indulgence makes the mind dull and agitated, forever chasing the next pleasure. Harsh denial makes the mind tense and resentful, and it can be a form of self-hatred disguised as spiritual discipline. The middle way is a path of kindness and wisdom. It applies to every aspect of our lives. Consider our relationship with our body. One extreme is to neglect it, feeding it unhealthy food and ignoring its need for rest. The other extreme is to become obsessed with it, striving for an impossible physical perfection and punishing it with excessive exercise or restrictive diets. The middle way is to treat the body with respect as a precious vehicle for our spiritual journey. It means nourishing it with healthy food, giving it the rest it needs, and moving it with joy, not with aggression. It's about listening to the body's wisdom. The same principle applies to our effort in life. Sometimes we push ourselves relentlessly, driven by ambition or fear, until we burn out. This is the tight string. Other times we fall into lethargy and procrastination, avoiding any form of challenge or discomfort. This is the loose string. The middle way is about cultivating right effort, a balanced, sustainable energy. It's knowing when to strive and when to soften. It's working with diligence, but without frantic tension, and resting with intention, but without guilt. This balance is not a fixed point. It is a dynamic dance we learn to feel from moment to moment. The middle way also guides our emotional life. We can swing between the extreme of emotional suppression, where we deny or numb our feelings, and the extreme of emotional indulgence, where we are completely swept away by every mood. The middle path is mindfulness. It is the capacity to be with our feelings, our joy, our sadness, our anger, without either pushing them away or being consumed by them. We acknowledge the feeling, we allow it to be there, and we watch it with a calm and spacious awareness, just as we would watch the weather change in the sky. This is the art of being neither too tight nor too loose with our own hearts. To walk the middle way is to become a master of the art of living. It is a path that requires constant awareness and gentle self-correction. The first practical step is to cultivate the quality of listening inward. Before you eat, ask your body, what do I truly need for nourishment? Before you take on another project, ask yourself, do I have the energy for this, or do I need rest? Before you react in a conversation, ask your heart, what is the most balanced? Let us pause here for a moment. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath, a quiet anchor in the flow of time. Allow your body to soften, releasing any tension you might be holding. Let the edges of your day melt into this quiet space of rest. Find a comfortable position and gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a long, slow breath out. Let your body feel heavy, supported, and at rest. Bring your awareness to the feeling of the air touching your nostrils. Just for this moment, let this be your anchor. If thoughts arise, see them as clouds drifting through the vast open sky of your mind. You are the sky, not the clouds. Let them come and let them go. Now feel into your heart space. Imagine a small warm light in the center of your chest. With every in-breath, imagine this light growing a little brighter, a little warmer. With every out-breath, imagine this warmth radiating through your entire body. This is the light of your own innate goodness. It has always been here. Simply rest in this warmth, in this gentle, loving presence. You are safe. You are whole. You are at peace. There is nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just this, just here, just now. Thank you for walking this path with me tonight, dear soul. Rest well.